Hey, welcome to another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty, real talk about cheating. It's Tracy and Sarah here. And this week we're going to be taking some voicemails and a letter that we received and discussing your issues. And this next dilemma is a pretty common dilemma that I get on the blog a lot. And it's, what do you do if you have to keep interacting with the affair partner? Like, this person lives in your small town or you have to work with them, and how do you avoid them and your ex? And that's Sarah. Get your opinion on this and have you read the letter.
Oh, I think this is so difficult. And it's one of those letters you read and you think, well, I don't know. Do you know, I still don't quite know how the best way of dealing with this. So, dear chump lady, my ex of 8.5 years cheated on me with and left me for one of my best friends and his best friend's girlfriend. It's been 2.5 years and I still don't feel over it. And I just don't know what to do. I think about it constantly and don't feel like I'm getting very any closer to Mare. I just moved back to my hometown for my dream job, but I've been struggling with the small town life. I see his family all the time, who I always really got along with, and they always want to talk to me. Him, I don't see very often in person, but when I do, he usually just ends up stopping and staring at me. I just try and avoid him like the plague. I unfortunately have to work with her to a certain extent as I'm a type of unique consultant in her field. So, really, there isn't anywhere she can work within a 2 hour radius that I don't work as well. Just seeing her name at work makes me sick to my stomach. She will message me all friendly, pretending like nothing ever happened at work, and it kills me that I have to answer her. I'm not sure if it's stupid, but I'm always more angry with her versus him because he was as a chronic cheater. And if it was just him she took, I wouldn't care. I'm angry because she took my whole life, like my house, my dog, my entire friend group, all the way down to the shitty end tables I left there. And now she's messing with my dream job as well. I'm torn because I always wanted this job, but it's so painful having to see or deal with them and always be the more professional, bigger person. I keep waiting for the Tuesday to happen, but I just feel like the King Julian off of Madagascar saying, "How long is this going to take?" Sincerely, King Julian. Do you know what, Tracy? I read things like that and I just sit there and I think, oh, I've got no idea. I don't know how I deal with this. And then I read your blog and you come up with an amazing way of, so I'm going to hand this over to you. What does she do?
What does she do? Huh. I mean, there's different ways you could go about it. I mean, my first thought was like kind of single white female. I don't know if you know that film
Oh,
reference back in
yes.
the day, but I mean, the fact that this person was your one of your best friends and now she's kind of literally taken over your life and she keeps calling you as if she didn't cheat on with your husband. I mean, that's just like next level creepy, transgressive. There's like a reason you don't feel moved on after, 2.5 years. Because, this whole meth thing, which we could probably do a whole podcast on that concept about, acceptance and feeling over it. I mean, you never really feel over it. It's always a scar that you wear, but I mean, you get on with your life. But you can't get to that point until you have no contact. And the fact that, you live in you get two problems. One, you live in a small town, and two, your job makes you intersect with this person. The simple solution is move, or, which is an option, or you can just develop better boundaries and reframe your thinking about what she won. So, there's pros and cons to both. But I would
Well, he
say,
sounds a bit odd, to be honest, this individual that she won, because the weird thing that he does, just back to this part of the letter, I
mhm.
don't see him very often in person, but when I do, he usually just ends up stopping and staring at me. I mean,
Blah.
there's something very wrong with this particular individual, isn't there?
Well, I think that's very hostile. It's kind of like this game of chicken. I mean, he's trying to make her uncomfortable. When people stare at you, either they don't have any self-awareness, like there's something wrong with them, or they're doing a stare down, like you're kind of marking your territory. Again, it's unnerving. Who wants to be around that? I mean, you either have to. I mean, this is the way I'd want this to go for King Julian. If and I realize as I'm giving this advice that it's very hard to do. We all, if you've been chumped, you've all had the turd in the punch bowl moment where you have to interact with your ex, and it is unnerving. Nobody wants to be around these people. But I try to look when I have to be in one of those situations, I try to summon somebody who is kind of icy and strong and above it. And I've written about this. I usually channel my late grandmother, uh, Vi, she Violet, and sort of like Lady Violet in Downton Abbey. She was just like a total ice princess, and it was just impervious to insults. She was just a stone cold bitch, right? So I would just kind of channel that energy, stand up to your full height, and if he stares at you, you just like look back like you're a fuckwit, just withering, like who the hell do you think you are? And I wouldn't take calls from that woman either. I mean, that's the thing. Like if I was around them, make them be embarrassed. Well, you don't have anything to be embarrassed about. Just don't interact.
It's
I don't.
difficult though, isn't it, when you've got the work where you have to be professional at work. So
Mm,
having to interact with her and deal with her and respond to her communication at work, that is an impossible situation because if you don't, then you could be
mm,
considered to be unprofessional. It could come back on you.
yeah. Or I mean, I'm wondering, I don't know how large the organization is, but if tell HR what you're dealing with. Like, could I have some other rep deal with this person? Is there any way that your company could put distance between you and that person? I can't imagine that that's a unique HR problem that people get. And if it's not, again, I mean, if you have to be the professional, then you just find your professional persona, put it on, nothing personal. But I wanted to kind of get into the she took my life thing because that's also like a really common story. You got this shitty husband, you got the shitty end tables. This woman just kind of moved herself into her home. And those are real, look, maybe not the end tables or the husband, but losing your friend circle, losing your former home, those are real losses. You're going to grieve that. Um, I, you could tell yourself, reframe it, she's welcome to, that house comes with him. Those shitty end tables come with him. I mean, it's a mental exercise and trust that they suck. I don't want that. I have this
It's
better
the
life.
friends. It's the friends, though. When she says her entire
I
friendship circle, I
know.
find that really, really sad. It must be awful to watch literally your whole life being handed over to some. But again, these weren't genuine friends, were they? If they are happy to switch
No.
their allegiance so quickly.
Well, and I would think too, in a small town, they know what's up, right? I mean, they know that they're both cheaters. And like you said, okay, well now you know who these people are, but it's not like other people aren't, I hope, on King Julian's side and are aware that these people are jerks. I hope she has some support. It is, after all, her hometown, right? So where's her tribe? Where are her people? That is really sad and concerning. So okay, so that takes us to option two, which would be, you know, fuck this shit, get out of there. Go build a new life somewhere else. And I don't know what profession you're in, how unique it is, how in demand it is, but if you're that specialized, perhaps there's a dream job somewhere else for you that doesn't have these associations and you can really heal. I think if you've tried for 2.5 years, I think you kind of know your mind. Like if it's not getting better, um, it's okay. It's not defeat. It's just choosing a different way of being, a different way to move on.
I'm just wondering as well because there was this was quite a love triangle going on here. So it
Mm,
was his best friend's girlfriend that he
mhm.
cheated with. So I'm just wondering where the best friend of the ex is in all of this. Is he still living in the area? Is he still there? Is he subjected to this dysfunction going on? And
I don't know.
has he managed to sort of power on through? It is. I just think it's incredibly difficult because for me, no contact, as you say, is the way forward. Not being exposed to it, not thinking of it, creating a new life, going somewhere else. But I can understand as well that if this is her hometown, why
Mhm.
should you be the one to have to leave?
Yeah, well, again, if you frame it that way, like, why should I be the one to have to leave? But then staying makes you miserable. Maybe you need to look at it a different way, which is like, okay, they won the battle, but I want to win the war, which is to not have these people in my life and let it upset my mental well-being. So go. I mean, if it helps you to think, okay, they won, or if you want to concede defeat and go, okay, they won, I'm out of here. Whatever staunches the bleeding. I mean, that's my feeling. Whatever makes it better.
As you always say, Tracy, what did they win? They won each other, and both of them are cheaters. They both had other partners,
It's
both
fine.
cheaters. Then they're not ultimately they're going to those life skills will catch up with them.
The other thing, there's some imponderables about this letter. It's like she has to work with her to a certain extent. I don't know how much that is. If this is like once a month, this person's like in your space, I think I could live with that. If it's like every day or every week, like there's no point at which this person's not going to pop up and irritate you. I, you know, I don't know. I'm more of the I'm out of here, but maybe that's just the way I'm wired. I think other people are wired.
I
I
think I'm
know.
with you. I'm with you, Tracy. I
Yeah.
couldn't do it. I don't think I could be face to face with somebody who'd you know change my life in such a dramatic way being in my workplace. But there again, I think we've all worked with people that we don't like, that we'd rather not be around, and it's kind of putting her in a little box that I remember a colleague I worked with once talking about how she deals with having to be around people that she doesn't like, and she says what I do is I visualize them in a field. I put them in my field, and they all and so when I see them, they might be there in front of me, but they're all in my special imaginary field, so they're not really there. And I
Mm,
thought that was quite a clever way of dealing with people.
that
Put
is a
them in some
very
horrible,
clever way.
damp, dark field somewhere and visualize them there, even if they're right in front of you.
I like it. You're sort of giving them a different Zoom background or something. Or it's that'll where I thought you were going to go is I'll imagine them in their underwear. There's all these
Oh
sort of
yeah,
rooms
that's a
you're supposed
common one.
to.
In their underwear, in a field, in the howling rain and wind. That's where you visualize.
You're right. Schmoopies in their underwear, right? Well, maybe you don't want to have those mind movies, but you know, yeah, getting back to my grandma Vi, I just you got to put your bitch boots on, right? There's sometimes, but having to put your bitch boots on every day if you're not naturally a bitch, as my grandmother was, I think is exhausting. I think it would be hard. But on those occasions where you have to sort of stand up to the mean girls or a mean guy, yeah, stand up to your full height. Don't I think disordered people, I really believe this. I think they feed on fear. I think they get a contact high from your discomfort. And so I am a stubborn person, and I just think I don't want to give them the satisfaction of my fear, my anxiety, my discomfort. So I'll stuff that into some recess of my soul, and I will be I don't want to say a bitch, but yeah, a bitch in a good sense of just, you know, indifferent to their crap.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's hard. It's a skill you have to learn. Some are born with it, you know. But I imagine I've written about this of, what would you do if you were at a wedding with the affair partner or something? And I imagine my grandmother would just hand them their drink and say, "Go put some ice in this," like they were the hired help. That is the kind of thing she would do. She would just like, demote people, treat them like they're superfluous. And really that these people have been demoted from your life. They are superfluous. They don't deserve any centrality, and don't give them centrality. I mean, clearly they want it, and clearly they get off on the triangle. And I'm always telling people, remove yourself from the triangle. Just get out. Don't be the hypotenuse. And it seems to me between that guy staring and her kind of being fake chummy, is they need that frisson of being in a triangle, of duping her, of having a chump. Like they need that to stay together. And so deny them. Just always deny them.
Harness your inner Vi and dispatch them off to a field in the rain and the wind in their underwear. That's the way forward. So
I
we've got some great mighty stories as well that have been sent in to us.
Well, we have one mighty and we have one query. So
Right,
I think we
okay.
should end on the mighty note.
Okay, lovely. Let's start off with so this is talking about lying, isn't it?
Yeah, lying.
I should have noticed early on when I was dating the fuckwit that he would tell me a lie and gauge my reaction to see whether I believed him or not, and would wait and not even tell me right away that he was lying. I'll give you an example. He had said early on when we were dating something about riding the short bus to school, that he used to ride the short bus to school. And he said it in complete seriousness. And I stopped for a second and thought and went, I don't know him that well. We'd only been dating a month or two. So I wasn't sure. And I could see the wheels turning in his head, um, evaluating whether I believed him or not. And there were other instances too, where he would just say something that was just a flat out lie and see if he could get away with it. So, in hindsight, big red flag. If anybody ever does that to me ever again, and thank God nobody has, but just get away from that person because they are trying to figure out how they can best manipulate you. Love the podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, I could totally relate to this one. I mean, I don't know if your cheater was a practiced uncomfortable liar, but mine was. I mean, he could, and it's the stupid lies, right? Like this guy's lying that he took the short bus to school, which of all the lies to choose, to sort of say that you're mentally retarded, which is not a PC term, but that's what the short bus means. Um, yeah, it's a strange lie to tell on yourself, but it's that testing, like, how gullible is this chump? I'm just gonna lie for the hell of it, for the thrill of it. I mean, that is really
I think that
crazy.
sometimes starts so they start off by lying about little things
Mm,
and to see just to see how easily they'll get away with that, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just quite intrigued about because I think a lot of people who've had a cheater in their life will see how easily. Because I can't tell
mm.
lies. If I tell lies, it's obvious I'm lying almost straight away. I feel guilty. I give myself away. But a lot of these cheaters are really quite accomplished liars.
Yeah. No adaptive anxiety, as they say about sociopaths, right? Meaning that they don't have the tells that normal people have. Like you said, like you get anxious or you grind your teeth or something because you're so concerned that you'll be found out. And also, I think if you're a normal person, you don't lie for fun or sport. Like that's not a joke, right? I find the whole pleasure of there are like mean senses of humor of like we're gonna pull a prank and lie and tell people something. I've always found it mean spirited to get someone to believe something. Um, yeah, I find it disturbing. I My ex would lie about and again, this is before D-Day, before I knew he was a cheater. But I remember early on, like, I was moving with him for his new job and he put his house up for sale, but it didn't sell for like the longest time. And he met somebody and he told them in front of me that his house had sold and I knew it was a lie. And so I think the test was I going to correct him? Was I going to stand there and go, dude, your house did not sell. Why are you saying it did? And it was one of those, it was when it should have been one of those aha moments. Why would you lie about something so dumb? Like you're not going to see this person again. They don't know. Like, what was that about? You know? I do think yeah, it's a big red flag.
Yeah, definitely. Most, I just find it just astonishing that people would feel the need to lie about something so ridiculous as well. So definitely with you on the red flag thing. Now we've also got a lovely mighty story.
I was a classic fuckwit. I put up with 2 years of devaluing and humiliation in front of my kids until D-Day happened, and then I started pick me dancing. But after the divorce, I realized the joy of uh, raising two teenage sons without a helicopter hovering mom. We got to travel, remodel, work on cars. My oldest son even went with me to my company bowling party for Christmas. We made enough money. We bought an Xbox that we wore out. It was grand.
Way to be mighty.
I love that he's making new traditions with his sons. You know, this is one of the things that's obviously it's awful to go through divorce. It's awful to have to rebuild your life after you've been chumped. But one of the silver linings is that you get to parent your children your way, doing the things you love to do with them. And so, you know, I whether it's Xboxes for this guy, or they went traveling, or bringing your kid as your plus one to the company Christmas party. I think these are wonderful things. I love it. And you know, they're not things that you necessarily would do if you know, if Lauren was still with his ex-wife. Did you make any new traditions with your kids?
Well, not sort of, I suppose going on holidays, doing stuff together, being a unit, not any sort of specific traditions, but just being a family without the dysfunction
Yeah,
lurking around in the background was a good enough new tradition for us, really.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, you are an intact family. I hate the whole broken home. I mean, nobody should use that term. Oh, you're from a broken home. Why? Because your home doesn't fit some conventional idea of two parents and, you know, the intact nuclear heterosexual marriage. You know, no. I mean, this guy is like, he doesn't have a broken home. He's like excelling at parenting, raising two kids. And then the broken person is the person who screwed up their family. That's how I wish the narrative went. Yeah, I mean, you're a family without a fuckwit, as you rightly point out. You know, who
It's
wants
yeah.
that?
And I think, they say that they did the pick me dance. And I think that's while you're doing the pick me dance, you're not focusing on the important things, which is you, your family, your future. You got to take away the focus on them and bring the focus back to you and the important people in your life.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, nobody is their best self. No one's on top of their parenting game while they're going through infidelity and being chumped and pick me dancing. And also, it's a terrible thing to model to your children. And that's one of the things I don't why I don't promote reconciliation, at least the sort that's mostly promoted in the therapy of the reconciliation industrial complex of make the marriage a good place to be and be inauthentic with your emotions and all these things. What are you teaching your kids when you pick me dance? You know, that it's okay to abuse somebody and then the reward, there's going to be rewards for that behavior, not censor, not, you know, not pain, but everybody trying harder to please the person who tried to break up your family. That's just nuts, right? So so glad he has a happier life on the other side of that crap. And he's a dad who got custody, so well done, sir. That wraps another episode of Tell Me How You're Mighty. You want to leave us a mighty story or a fuckwit of the week submission? Check out our new website, tellmehowyourmighty.com. That's yours spelt Youre. We've got all the episodes, show notes, links to our guests, and you can see the tea room where Sarah and I first met. If you enjoyed this episode, please review the podcast and follow us. Thanks. See you next week.